And welcome to Werribee at the Australian Championships. My name's Paul Williams, and we're just going to take the opportunity while the course is being set to have a brief walk around the Young Rider Championship. This is for the Australian Young Rider Champion, and it's going to be a very big class. So we'll just have a bit of a wander around and give you a look and a taste of what's to come. And we'll just make our way to the first fence, which is a brown and white oxer. We call fences that are spread with widths, they're oxers, and not a particularly difficult fence, but right up against these the marquees today, so that is an added bonus or added distraction for the horses. Not a particularly big fence. It's most probably around about $1.35 in height. It does have a little bit of width. They have to jump both the back and front rails. If they have either of those rails down, they will incur a penalty of 4 faults. Then we go into a nice curved line down to the very nice black and white fence, the Barton sponsored fence. This is what we call a vertical fence. It is an upright consisting of only the one element. And this fence standing at $1.40 in height. So we're starting to get straight into the size. Not a particularly difficult fence, but it is early, and verticals can be a little bit harder than the oxers to jump, but we'll have to see what happens. Then we just go a nice big sweeping right-hand turn. We've got to go between the cart and the fence, up against the fence, the marquees, to fence number 3. And the first of our big tests on this course here today. And this being, let's say, number 3, the course designer has made the oxers relatively difficult. You'll notice that the front rail is the same height as the back rail, which adds a little bit more difficulty to these fences. An easier spread, we would have the front rail lower than the back. Never would we have it the other way around, but we're being quite flat. It makes a little bit more difficult. This is $1.40 fence wide, and it's only $1.40 wide, so it's not a particularly hard fence. But then we come into that first of our major problems. This is a related distance, and by related we mean that it is a measured distance, and the course designer has set it at quite a holding 5-stride distance. You'll see some horses go down here in 4, but most of the riders, because it's a big, tall vertical, they'll be trying to hold the horse back to get the 5 distance. So we'll just walk our way down. Another tall fence. This is at $1.40 in height. And the aim of the riders is to try and get the horses to come off the fence, give themselves a little bit of room. They need to be around about the $1.80 away from the fence to give it comfortable distance. But the distance that the course designer has set is that on an even stride we're going to be very close. So that gives the riders the opportunity of either taking a hold to get the 5 or riding down forward to get the 4. A lot more risky. And of course, when they land, they're straight into it. They're going to land approximately $1.80 out, and then 3.6 metres for our one stride, and quite a comfortable distance coming out over this quite tall and wide oxer. So there's our first major problem on the course. And after the combinations, they have a little bit of a breather. They're going to do a nice big rollback turn. They're going to go under the big screen, which is quite a novel thing for show jumping in Australia. We don't have the opportunity to have big screens, and especially live telecasts. These horses won't have seen that before, so they're going to have to turn around that to come back to this lovely fence with the dolphins on. Another spread fence, vertical I should say, and that's standing at $1.40. We've got another related distance to this big and flat oxer. This is at $1.40 in height and $1.50 wide, so it's quite a tall fence, and the $1.50 in width adds that lot more difficulty. very big arena here for this Australian Championships, and that gives the course designer plenty of opportunity to make long distances between the fences, which creates the other added difficulty of the horses having to be nice and fit. Also, it means that they're going to have to concentrate a lot more. When the fences are relatively close, everything comes up quick, and it's a little bit easier. When you've got a big long run to fences, it's a little easier to lose a bit of focus, and so that's another difficulty that's been put into this Australian Junior or Young Rider Championship course. As we just make our way from the beautiful dressage horses doing their demonstration. Fence 7 is another vertical, and we have what we call a water tray, which is a plastic, quite often we would put water in it. It's a dry one on this occasion, and horses do tend to look down at the bottom of the fence. All of these horses will have no problem at this fence because they are used to jumping the water trays, but it's something to give them to look at. And we got from fence 7, the vertical, we've got a big, long, sweeping turn. We've got to go past the big 2-storey VIP area, and we've got another difficult line into a combination. Fence 8, and very tall, quite open oxer or spread. Also 1.40 m in height, and I'm pretty sure 1.50 m in width. It's not quite dead level, but mind you, all these horses are going to be standing a lot higher than I am, so they're definitely going to easily be able to see the back rail. But as I say, if the fence in front is the same as it at the back, it's just that little bit more difficult. A long run into what we call a treble. We have already jumped a double combination. This time we've got 3 fences in a row. I won't walk the distance, but it will be most probably around about the 6 or 7 strides, maybe 8 for some. And the thing with the riders, they walk the course, they will decide for themselves what's the best option for their horse to do. And some horses find it very difficult to go forward and cut out strides. Some need to be held off the fence, and some are just perfect. They just go and do their own thing. They're the ones we'd love to be able to afford. So 9A is another flat oxer, 1.40 m. I would think only around about the 1.40 or 45 in width. Are we going to land over this fence? On this occasion, we've got 2 strides coming down to another 2 verticals. So they've got to jump A, B, and C. If they have any disobedience at fence B, they must come, or even C for that, they must renegotiate A, B and C again. So it's quite a difficult fence. And on a 2-stride distance, it's just a little bit tight enough, so the riders can't be affording to chase down to this. They're going to have to land, take a hold to be able to get the horses to get back, and give themselves room to get the front legs up over this tall, standing at 1.40 m vertical. They're going to land and straight into it again. They're going to sit up. This is a 1-stride distance, and plenty of room to come out. So the line itself is the difficulty, getting into the combination and being able to keep the horses off the fences. A lot of these horses get quite keen as they get onto the course. They like doing the job, but in doing so, they get a little bit bold in their stride, and that makes the distances a lot more difficult. So the riders, you'll see some will be landing and taking quite a hole on the rein to get the horses to come back to be able to jump the fence. It's all about jumping clean. Pretty is a bonus, but getting over the fence the best way you can is the most important thing. Fence 10, quite a nice long run off a curve, also relatively close to the arena. Mind you, by now the horses will be used to the atmosphere, they'll be used to all the tents, so lots of people walking around. And this is another big square ox with the beautiful butterfly wings. It's amazing what these horses get used to jumping, and the idea of the course builders and course designers are to try and make the fences as inviting as they can. And they do that by making attractive wings, lovely pot plants, and of course they've got beautiful rails. This fence is metre 40. Also, there's a strong, what we'd call a strong enough metre 40 competition, and a metre 50 in width. So not as wide as we'll be seeing in the seniors, but quite a wide fence. And we're starting to get close to the end. It's quite a long course. It's most probably about 700 metres in length, this course. With an arena this side, you're able to do that. And I'll be travelling at 350 metres per minute to get around this course. This will be measured and calculated that from start to finish they have X amount of time. If they exceed that time, they will be penalised by one time penalty per every 4 seconds over the time. So bear in mind, they are very conscious of making sure that they make the time. So they can't afford to go too wide. They also can't afford to go too slow. There's no bonus, of course, for coming in the fastest. The faster you go, the more risk there is in being able to jump the fences clean. And quite a nice open. This is quite a European style of fence in that they're very open, not a lot of fill, and so it makes the horses sight the fences and hopefully jump them clean. And from a fence 11, we've got a nice curve down to the big white oxer, the Equestrian Victoria sponsored fence, which is another big wide oxer. And we've got a curve line, and we'll notice when we watch the riders walking around the course, they'll be pacing out and stepping their distances to try and work out how many strides that they're going to try and do to make this fence as easy as possible. And we do hope that you enjoy this live coverage from Equestrian Life, and it's great to see that we are being able to present to you the events as they happen. And the modern technology of internet is fantastic. It's a nice big wide fence. This would be standing at a metre 45. We're starting to get a little taller, round about the metre 40 in width, but still quite a tall oxer. And being plain white rails, coming down towards the entrance gate, things can get a little bit distracted, and that's the nature of course designing. And then of course we're going to go through the finish flags, and that will be it. And hopefully we're going to see plenty of clean rounds. We will have all riders returning for the 2 rounds of this competition, and then they'll accumulate their faults over the 2 round, and if required then there will be a jump off. But definitely we'll have 2 rounds of top competition, and out of this we'll be deciding also the Australian Young Rider Champion.